We wrote an article that went viral and sparked a natural hair revolution. We are Elise
and Aisha, moms to small humans, digital content creators, licensed hairstylists, brand agnostic, curl educators,
and generally your snarky girlfriends with no filter.
We're two women from the south side of Chicago, taking the stupid out of natural hair. On this episode of Curls Disrupted, we're going to talk about curly cuts.
And of course, we have our hair straight.
I mean,
other day we talk about curly cuts.
Of course, right? Like, we wanted to do something out of the box for this episode. So we decided, why not straighten our hair?
Mm-hmm.
Show you guys what our curly cuts look like outside of it being
straight.
Curly. It's straight with some bend. Straight with some bend.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bend.
It's for us, it's a style choice we don't make very often, just because it's a lot of work to keep up.
How long did it take you?
It didn't take me that long, but that's because I spent years pressing hair.
You also don't have hair on the other side of your head.
I have a whole side missing. But I had to relearn, I had to reteach myself how to actually like wrap my hair. So once I wrap my hair's been in a doobie for like almost 24 hours.
And it took me probably, I think, over 2 hours to do my hair from beginning to end. Because the blow dryer attachment kept coming off. And then on top of that, I got hot and sweaty. Like, my scalp was getting sweaty.
So wait, you're trying to get your hair straight.
And dry.
But your scalp is
sweaty, right?
See, this is why we don't play these reindeer games. And you will very, very, very rarely see our hair straight. So
and then the pressing. Like, the actual part of the pressing. Yeah, I'm saying that was another 45 minutes of pressing my hair because I can't do small sections because of the way my strands are that thick. Like, I literally have to do like small. Yeah. So no, you won't probably see me do this for a hot little minute unless somebody pays me to pay somebody to do it. Hey, friends.
Hey. All right, so we're chatting curly cuts today because we get all these questions about different techniques and different reasons and why people should get curly cuts and why people shouldn't get curly cuts, and there seems to be a lot of confusion.
There's not a lot of education on curly cutting. Like, let's just be realistic. Curly cutting is still very new to the industry. In fact, I'm saying new to the industry in the sense of...
It's newish.
In the sense of the cosmetology books have yet to catch up with what's happening in current trends of hair cutting.
True.
So if you look in a cosmetology book or go to a cosmetology school, there is no education being provided on cutting curly hair. They're teaching us standard, you know what I'm saying, the foundation.
They're teaching us the foundation of hair cutting. They're teaching you layering, graduation, over direction, and any other techniques that come with that.
Which comes into play too, still when you're cutting curly hair, but there's no very straight and narrow focus on curly hair. So now we are seeing so many different curly cuts because people think that these are
specific cuts. So first of all, let's disabuse everybody of thinking every single cut is not a cut. These are techniques. These are cutting techniques. Tools that a stylist will learn and use based upon the hair sitting in front of them.
Absolutely. Like, they're going to take the tools that they have from the education they have invested in to use on the client that's sitting before them. However, before they can even dig into their bag of tools or cuts, right? They first must find out who their client is so that they can give them a cut, a signature cut, because that's what we do. We typically, even though we teach a cutting technique, we don't even say like, oh, we're giving you this cutting kinky cut. That's not what we do. We don't even, first of all, Elise trained me, right? Elise trained me. We don't even cut the same. Like, our clients don't look the same. And as much as nothing about what we do is the same.
Cutting, styling, nothing.
But she taught me.
I taught her all the curly cutting stuff. So this is what we mean by this is going for and we're going to actually name names in this one.
Absolutely.
So going for a diva cut is not going for a specific cut. Diva, Rizzo, We Dyed, Curlisto, Cha, Cut It Kinky. Actually, Cha is not even Cha. Cha is the MAP method.
And then there was
everybody
other one.
in Cha, because I'm actually a member of Cha, and Cha means curly hair artistry. Hey, Scott. I'm actually a member of Curly Hair Artistry. Each person in Curly Hair Artistry has their own artistry. So Scott, who's a creator of Curly Hair Artistry, created the MAP method and the Cubist cut.
Yes.
So there are different ways that different curl stylists approach hair, but it's not a finished look that everybody seems to be going for.
It's not like a Vidal Sassoon cut. You know what I'm saying? Vidal Sassoon has a very signature. Like everybody knows that
it's that bob. It's that bob.
It's angular. It's sharp. His cuts are pretty sharp. Like they're pretty. They're very clean. They're very modern.
Clean. But let me say this: the fact that it's a bob,
right?
And these are the techniques used to achieve that bob. But every person that sits there, that bob is going to look different, whether they're fine, coarse, high density, low density.
Absolutely.
So same thing. It's the same. Sassoon's a technique too.
It is a technique. It is definitely a technique, and it's a well-recognized technique when it comes to straight hair cutting. Like everybody knows the Sassoon education is like
it's top notch.
I mean, it's no lie.
Like stylists. If you're a hair cutter of any ilk, go take a Sassoon class or go by the ABCs of haircutting.
I still have it. It's on DVD. Dear Sassoon, can we get digital though?
Who has a DVD player anymore?
I mean, I'm like, I don't even have a DVD player here, and I have DVDs still because I bought the Sassoon DVDs, and I was like, I would pay, put it on Prime. I would pay extra. Hello, Sassoon. I'm just saying to sit and watch those videos. I'm just saying, but it is definitely a technique. And even when people go to learn the Sassoon way of cutting hair, they still come back to their salons, to their suites, behind their chairs, and they execute that cut in the way that they have learned for themselves how it fits into what they do.
They integrate it into their philosophy of hair. They integrate it into how they see hair.
Absolutely.
So they're able to take those techniques and bring them to the client. Because think about this. Who is your client? We actually asked this question on an earlier podcast. So let's talk about the popular ones that are out there that everybody's kind of recognizing by name.
People are literally typing in emails, do you do a diva cut?
And I'm like... So I guess I could say I do a diva cut because I've been to 3 diva classes, but no. Reason.
Do you do? Hey, so then we end up in this conversation where we have to explain that, yes, I took a class at Diva. I took 2. I took 2 courses at Diva. It is a technique that I pull out depending on who's sitting in my chair. But it is not necessarily the technique I use on every single client because guess what? Somebody can sit in your chair right now and they're like, so I'm thinking more rounded, or maybe they want more volume.
Oh, we have to get into that.
Yeah, we got to get into it. But they want more volume. Like, what is it that this client thinks? Because, again, it's a lot of thinking.
It's a lot of thinking and us having to explain the thought process
for deciding on how to cut the hair. One of the major factors that I don't think gets addressed enough when it comes to curly cutting is that a lot of what we use and when we use it has a lot to do with the way that person's curls form and the way that it grows out of their scalp. Those are probably like the 2 most important factors of like how do you decide what do you use to cut the hair, and then add that into what they're asking for.
So Diva is one of the oldest, started by Lorraine Massey. It was initially an intuitive cut where you looked at the hair where it lived and you saw the shape you wanted to create. And you took off hair as you needed to take off hair to create the shape that was the finished shape. It's not but a lot of people think a diva cut is a very specific hairstyle. It is not. It is a way of taking dry curls and forming them into whatever shape the client themselves are asking for. Oftentimes, to me, the diva cut looks really good on 2-dimensional hair.
I'm going to have to, and in my short time behind the chair, I totally have to agree with you on that because I've had a number of clients who have come into the salon who have had a cut by someone who's diva trained only. And what I have found consistently is that the hair is too short in the crown.
All of this is
the whole thing is
super
totally
short, and there's a mullet back here.
Yeah, and it's not so much the mullet. You know what? One of the things that I'm realizing as somebody who has disconnected in the front is that when you're disconnected so much, it doesn't allow you the versatility that you really want. And this is why, and I've seen this from a number of other hairstylists, why they don't like that particular technique. And they say when the clients come in, the haircut is jacked up. And I'm saying this because this is what other stylists are saying. I'm not saying this on an opinion level. They say I had a stylist who said she fixes.
It was a curl stylist?
This is a straight hair stylist, but she works with texture hair.
Okay.
She said I have had to I fix about 3 of those cuts a week. That's what she said. And so, now I understand what she was saying. When I started getting to people, I had a person come in and the hair looked like an EKG.
Aye.
I've had a person come in and this whole part here is completely disconnected, and we end up in this long-ass conversation about straight cutting and how it's more precise. And me having to explain to her, no, babe, the person who cut your hair cut this part too short. And it's not connected to anything.
But when you look at how the technique works, when we talk about two-dimensional hair, we mean hair that grows downwards or down and slightly out. So you're cutting that to lie flat on a plane, and you're giving it the illusion of volume, but it's still laying there flat. So when you translate that flat initial shape, or that slightly more voluminized flat shape, and then you translate it into hair that grows outwards into the sun, that translation, especially if you take that same person who had two-dimensional hair and you flip them over, that's the exact haircut we see. And when we talk about versatility for our clients, they're not getting much versatility because this area just, it ain't gonna go nothing. It ain't gonna do nothing until it grows out.
It doesn't do anything. And then they're super frustrated because they feel like they're starting over again.
Yeah.
And they're now have PTSD. And now I gotta get them out of it. You know what I'm saying? It puts them back from where they started as when they got into this whole curly thing. Now they're unsure. They don't trust anybody again.
They're like, I'm gonna cut my own hair. If I jack up my hair, I jack up my hair. Right. So it's not a dig at Diva, but it is a perspective of when we see a stylist who doesn't necessarily have experience in translating it. The two-dimensional technique to three-dimensional hair. That's what we end up tending to see in our chairs.
Yeah, and work with
we're Diva stylists.
Right.
So,
yeah, I mean, I learned the technique, and it's what I learned was a little bit different from what you learned as far as how they're actually...
I've learned 3 different things in 3 different classes.
Okay, then there's 5 different classes between us. And we both learned something completely different.
I also started in 2011.
Absolutely.
So I have to put that caveat out there. My first class was in 2011. My other 2 classes were in 2015.
Okay.
And so I don't know how that's changed from the classes
you know what?
in 2017.
To be quite honest with you, things do change, and they do they evolve for the better, right? Because we've evolved quite a bit in mostly our styling, not so much in our
in our cutting.
Yeah, the cutting is kind of consistent right now. We have yet because you know what, we're in. I'm doing a lot of fixing. So with fixing all the time, it doesn't lean itself to doing fun things.
So we're making some shade.
Yeah. Next technique
we're seeing is Rizzo.
I was gonna say WeDot because wouldn't WeDot be next in line as far as amount of time?
Yeah, because WeDot's been around for I want to say almost as long as Diva.
Yeah, I think I don't know specifically. I mean, we can all have Google, so if y'all want to debate about when it started, y'all can leave it in the comments section for us, so we'll know for sure. But WeDot is a technique that actually cuts the hair while wet. Right? It's a wet cutting technique.
It's initially a wet cutting that gets perfected dry.
Got it.
One of the hallmarks of WeDat is carving. Is it carving slice?
Carving slice. I feel like I've heard that.
Yes, carving slice. I think I'm quoting the right ones because there've been some other techniques that we don't hear much about now, but they were happening in the 90s. And they do some strategic length removal.
Okay.
At mid-strand to reduce bulk.
Okay.
And that works really well for, again, those people who have that very heavy hair that need some bulk reduction.
Okay.
But I don't necessarily see it. Again, I've not taken a class, so this
I
is, again,
have not
third-hand
either.
knowledge.
Have not either.
But what I know of the technique is not something that I would do on someone who has a very tight spring factor, because with a tight spring factor, you know that curl has to sit on top of the other curl below it. And if you carve out the curl below it, you have one piece doing this, sticking straight up in the air. You have the other piece trying to stick down here, and we're all in for a nightmare.
Got it. So for me and where I'm at in my career, I have not ventured into looking into it, but I did know just some of the basis. And again, these are cuts that people are asking for. So we're talking about the things that people are aware of and are asked for. So we're not, again, shading anybody else who has a technique out there. This is just what people are saying out there in the social space and what they identify with, because these are things that these are cuts that are being talked about that have been marketed.
That are in our email inbox. Like, do you do this cut? Do you do that cut? I tell people, it's like, I'm a curly cutter. I have taken that class. Or no, I'm a curly cutter, but no, I have not taken that class.
Right.
But I'm familiar with what I've seen from it.
Right.
So with Ouidad, she also has products go along with it.
Absolutely.
So does Diva. So the next one that we're finding is becoming really popular is Rezo.
Yeah, so Rezo.
Is it? I keep like Rezo. Is it Rezo or Rezo?
I believe it's Rezo because
Okay,
it's Spanish.
sorry.
Rezo means it's Spanish for curls.
I thought it was Rezo's.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Okay, somebody send us a video on Instagram at I Am Black Girl Curls to tell us what the proper pronunciation
we're going to debate
is.
about this in a second. No, it's Rezo. But however, it is a curl cutting technique that the way it's marketed. So I want to speak in terms of the way it's marketed. It has been marketed as a cut for the Latina client, to cut her specific curls.
What the communication has been from the company is
Yes.
that it's a way for heavier, looser, loopier curls that can live in either 2D or 3D to be more 3D. So people who have that curl that doesn't necessarily want to live in space, it's a way of cutting and styling for that hair to live in more space.
Okay, yes.
And I've seen it. I did not believe it, but I've seen it on tighter curls, and it actually can be cute. It actually can be really good if that person really wants that big, all amazing curl.
There's a lot that goes along with that.
Yes.
And that's where I get because again, the client, I'm real keen and looking into what people do, how they actually live. And so for the clients that I'm seeing in the salon, that wouldn't be the most ideal cut for them, because in how I see it, it's a very high fashion cut.
It's a high maintenance.
High maintenance, high fashion.
For me, it seems like a very specific look, again, for the people who want that really kind of big hair. But you can see the lifestyle for a lot of our clients is, are you always living with this big hair? Because from what I see, this area, again, becomes very short because that hair wants to lay down. The shorter you take it, the more it sticks up. And so you get that volume. But what happens when you want to do
a more
controlled wash and go, or a more controlled style, or as you're growing out?
I mean, if you want to pull it back, that's when I start getting concerned. Pulling it back here, if you want to do a low bun, or you want to do two low top nets, you'd be
a high bun and a bottom bun.
Yeah, you won't be able to pull it back. And again, I'm thinking about what happens when you're not wearing your hair curly, or you have to pull your hair back, or you're on vacation, or I'm thinking about so many other things that could come along with it. And so, and maybe I'm not looking at it but I'm looking at that because I know I see how clients walk in the door.
But I guess I'm looking at it there's a specific client that wants that. There's a specific client that's going to maintain that. There's a very specific client that's no, this is it. And there's one for every single one of those techniques.
Absolutely.
Are there any other ones? Curlisto is around. I don't know much about that.
I don't know much about that.
The MAP method of cubist cutting. So cubist cutting
again, two-dimensional cutting.
Two-dimensional cutting, but it's based on wabi sabi, which I actually the perfectly imperfect. I think that's what it is.
Yes.
And so when you're working with hair that's two-dimensional, if it's literally laying in one flat plane, it completely looks flat.
It does.
So when you're creating slight unevenness, it brings up the volume. It gives more visual interest. The eye moves around.
It's a different approach to graduation. Because it is it's like
yes and no.
Yeah, I'm just saying
yes
like
and no.
yeah, it's
okay.
it's a different version, but in curly cutting for giving some graduation to two-dimensional hair. Because again, that flat plane just means that all your attention goes there.
Yep.
And we want to create some dimension, some look, somewhere else for the eye to go,
somewhere for the hair to go.
That
like
too.
as you're moving around, and so.
Right.
Knowing how to create that without creating holes, without creating disrupting the harmony of the haircut is important, because when you're working, especially with wavy,
absolutely,
hair that it has some bend to it, but it doesn't have a lot of bend to it, you take the wrong chunk out, and it's like
it's gonna be there
for a little bit.
You thinking about going a little shorter
right here?
You want to do a lob? How do you feel about a lob? How do you feel about a lob today? I think you would look amazing in a lob.
So I feel like we just completely nerded out as stylists.
No, but we do that. But I think it's really important to understand too that where these techniques lend themselves. And again, for us, one of the things that's really important is that although, yes, we have jumped into, or we have become a part of the curly technique situation, a lot of thought has gone into the technique that we are actually introducing to other stylists. It's not just like we were like, oh, you know what? You do tight curls. Let's do tight curls. And it's got to be a different way. So could you talk about what inspired, because I don't think a lot of people know, like what actually inspired Cut It Kinky?
All right, so Cut It Kinky, whoo.
It's her baby, by the way. I just want y'all to know that it's her baby. I am Black, the digital salon and the Black Girl Curls is the consumer part. That's really my baby. But this is her baby. And I get to be a part of helping her introduce her baby to the rest of the world. That was my job.
It really was. But really, Cut It Kinky happened. It started really when I decided I wanted to be a curly cutter. And I went to a Diva class. And it was taught by Vita, who I think still works for Diva. She was one of the only black faces that I saw at Diva.
Okay.
And she has very tightly coily hair. Gorgeous, beautiful, blonde, tightly coily hair. And I took this class, and it was a great class, but I'm like, how do I take what you just taught me back to the south side of Chicago? I don't have any Caucasian clients. I don't have any clients with two-dimensional curls. Every one of my clients' hair grows out. And I went home and I took the techniques and I tried them and I tried them and I tried them. And I was trying to do the styling as the way they told me. And I'm like, these aren't working on the people I'm seeing. And they did my hair just to show me. And my hair was cute. I hated the way it felt. Because they left like tons and loads of conditioner in my hair. And
y'all know we're not fans of leaving conditioner in there. We're not shamed either.
Not either. I will not be shamed. And it was cute. It looked cute for a couple of days. But my hair felt like crap. So I went home and I'm trying to figure out if this is something I can do as paid work. And the results I was getting were just sucking. And I'm like, okay, maybe it's me. But at that point, I made my name doing twisted updos, and I'm a fast learner, and why am I not getting this? And I had to sit down and step back from what I was doing behind the chair and evaluate what were the differences between the models at Diva and the people sitting in my chair.
So what was that?
It was coarser,
okay,
tighter curls, more dehydrated, way more product usage, having to flip the shapes. Because when you think about for a long two-dimensional hair, down here is the longest part, right?
In straight hair.
It's straight hair. But when you start to think about tightly coily hair that grows out, until that hair gets really long, your most important part of that shape is right here around this globe part of the head. So changing perspectives, changing how I saw my three-dimensional clients' hair in my chair, and then being able to address all the stuff the internet was telling them to do at home became the basis of what Cut It Kinky was. So now we're actually, everybody that comes to our classes, we assume, knows how to cut hair. You're a cosmetologist, you made it all the way from cosmetology school, you have a chair someplace. We assume that you know the fundamentals of how to cut hair.
And I will tell you this, and I'm not shamed, like cutting in cosmetology school was not my thing. I spent a whole month like, I'm not cutting nobody's hair. For an entire month of school, I did not cut anybody's hair. And I'm not ashamed to admit this, like the fundamentals is an area I still need to work in. Excuse me, even for 2020, there's a couple there's one class in particular that I am,
fundamentals class.
That I got my eye on, because when I'm talking to experienced cutters, and again, I'm open book. We actually had at this last class, I got pulled into a haircut. So when we teach class, Elise owns cutting, I own styling. And so somebody pulled me into a cut, and I was like, okay, I think I can, help him out with this cut. Hey, Fran Serrato. So he called me into the haircut, and I'm like, wait, you need to do, and he's like, no. And then he started talking to me in fundamentals, and I was like, all right, hold on a second. Because he has been training with another stylist who is very much has the fundamentals down. So I realized, even for myself, that those fundamentals are super important. And it's, again, I know y'all think we're deviating, but it really goes with this conversation. It does. But those fundamentals are so important to being able to, again, have conversations with people who speak that language. So it was almost like Serrato was speaking Japanese to me. I need to go on over here because you and Elise, she a translator, and y'all can talk. And they actually were able to work the cutout. But even understanding those fundamentals are there, right? They're very much there. And the training that goes with the technique of cutting kinky. It's just that we're actually teaching people how to see the hair.
Because you can know every single cutting technique, you can be an expert, but if you can't see the difference and the different expectations the tight curl client has for her hair, you're going to keep giving her these great curly cuts from whatever method that you're working from, because you know that method back and forth. But can you see how that looks and translates differently for her three-dimensional hair? And I had to be like, okay, so I have this designation. I paid for this class. I did this thing. I've taken other education to learn swavy wavy hair, because honestly, I can cut all the curls. I just don't cut all the curls because
it's true.
Everybody else can cut most of the curls, but it's the curls I work with that tend to scare or really stump other stylists.
I would say mostly stump.
Let me figure out let me figure out this segment so that we don't stump anybody anymore.
Yes, because and from a consumer's perspective, when they're coming to the salon, they're like, I've gotten this curly cut. I've been getting a curly cut, and my hair is not growing. It is at a standstill. I feel like when I went in, I had longer hair, and that my hair it hasn't gotten any longer. It's literally been here the whole entire time. So to me, it's like you see something going on. The client doesn't know how to express it, or they might have bought it up, and you, as a stylist, or maybe found a way to explain it to her. But that consumer, that client, she knows something's not up with her. She right with her hair, she knows it and she feels it in her spirit.
But what actually I figured out, I'm not even sure where is what I figured it out, was that the client was telling the stylist she wanted to keep her same haircut, that she really liked her haircut.
I remember that.
But she wasn't expressing to the stylist that I want the same haircut as I grow out. So the stylist was like, okay, here, we get a stylist form. Oh, you like this haircut? Okay, let's redo this haircut. And the client is going home angry, not communicating with the stylist but I wanted to grow my hair out. So that's what we're actually teaching Cut It Kinky. It's not that it's revolutionary or it's any different. It's specifically to that tight curl client because no one else was addressing her. And
I also think there was another issue because I didn't get a chance to jump. Well, that was a conversation for me and you to have about what I think was happening when she was going in and saying, I like the way she likes the shape. And she probably said she liked the shape, but liking the shape as it grows out and not knowing how to actually go in to bring that shape back. Because there's actually nobody teaches this. Ooh. There's a very specific, the way we're actually teaching people how to address their clients coming in for maintenance cut. That's not, I didn't see that in any of the classes I went to.
Really?
I don't feel like
I haven't either. Dang. Okay.
Yeah. Nobody said, okay, when your client comes back for their cut, here's how we want to address them coming back. Now, I did see where, in Cubist and MAP, where we went in and pulled the ends and we did the maintenance, which really is what we're doing. That's what we're teaching people how to do for their maintenance cuts. But I think when people are coming back in, it's they come in your wash and go no more than 3 days old, are going up.
And everybody's not touching every single hair every single time. I see that more often than not about Because when
we just saw it again recently.
When us tight curl folk, because we've even got all over the map with this, but let's just keep going.
Yes.
Us tight curl folk, when we go in for a haircut or a trim or a maintenance cut, we're expecting every single curl to be touched. Not just a shape arrangement, not just like, okay, I'm bringing you back to where you were. It looks good on the outside. We're really expecting a full-on maintenance of that hair so that we avoid single strand knots, we avoid splits, we avoid breakage, because again, when we think about as curly hair stylists, every single twist and turn is a weak point.
Yeah. And
the tighter the curl, more weak points. And so, yes, it's very imperative that you're touching every single end every single time during that haircut, even if you're not taking off a lot or drastically changing shape or growing out. So that's kind of how Cut It Kinky got started, is going to a lot of different education and understanding what I was having to then go home and come up with and recreate that wasn't available to me for my clients. And so every curly cut has its people.
It does. It absolutely does. And that's to take nothing from no one. This is the absolute truth. Everybody knows what they're looking for. Most of the people who are following us or coming to us, these are people who are like, I've been doing it myself. I want somebody else to do it. Where are those people? And I want those people to actually share the same philosophy that you do as it regards to hair. So that's why they're looking for a Cut It Kinky specific stylist. Not because, we're new and we popping. No, they're like, I see the results. I see the clients you've worked with. I want my hair to be in as great of health as that person that I just saw. Like, I want that for myself. And I also want to know, like, what you're doing. Like, they want to know those things. So not only are we teaching a technique, but we are actually teaching stylists how to hear the clients. Yes.
Yeah. Yep.
And be able to communicate with them in their language. So who are curly cuts for? Anybody who wants to wear their hair in its natural loose state. That's who the curly cut is for. What curly cut? You're going to have to decide as a consumer for yourself what cut fits you. Best suggestion or recommendation we can give y'all, check those receipts.
Yes.
Make sure that the person who's you're looking at to book an appointment with, make sure like their cuts align with your life. I always say this with everything when I'm talking to stylists, like, does it go with your life? Because it has to go with your life and what you do in your life. So make sure that person suits you in that area for your haircut.
It also makes sure that you see people who look like, have hair like yours.
Absolutely.
That have the results you're looking for, and start asking the right questions. That's where we don't really get to very much, is asking the right questions. What is the maintenance? How often should I be styling? How often should I be coming back for reshapes? What will happen 2 months down the road when I'm trying to grow my hair out? So really start to think about it in the long term versus just, okay, this person's a curly cutter and they should be able to do my hair.
Absolutely.
There's people that have literally every single designation we just actually mentioned.
All of them.
And they're amazing because every single thing is a tool in their toolbox. And they may pick out for this section something from Diva, and this section something from Rizzo, and this section something from Cut It Kinky. So don't get caught up in names. Don't get caught up in getting a specific look from a name. Understand what it is that you want for your hair. And stylists, understand that the tools are the tools.
Yep.
But you've got to be able to apply them to each client sitting in front of you to give them the results that they are looking for.